The Alvin Bragg prosecution limps on after 2 days with Stormy. We are back in court on day 14. Madeline Westerhout is back on the stand, and we're going to get into this courtesy of our friend Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press Reporting. His links are down in the description below. Court is back in session. It's Friday. Donald Trump is here. Blue suit, red tie, power red. Waiting for the court to get started. Everybody's just kind of... Door burst open. All rise. Clerk of the court, this is the time set for case State of New York versus Donald Trump, indictment number, blah, 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 blah. Judge says, everybody, good morning, parties, Mr. Government, Mr. Defense, Mr. Prosecutor. Good morning, Mr. Trump, says the judge. He says, good morning. Yesterday, we had a witness on the stand, and we're going to get started with this, says the judge. Anything else we need to discuss before we get started? Government prosecutor says, yeah, Your Honor, with permission, may we approach? Yeah, says the judge. They come up. Attorneys go up to the bench for the sidebar. Todd Blanche, defense attorney, stays back with Trump. They're up there for a while, man. This sidebar continues. Trump still at the defense table, showing his lawyer Todd Blanche some papers. Can you believe this crap? Look at this crap, he says. Now, they go back. Prosecutors back at their table, defense back at their table. Judge says, we're done. Let's get the witness, please. Madeline Westerhout comes back on. He says, welcome back. She says, good morning. Let's get the jury, please. Jury comes in. All rise. Everybody looks at the jury. They are seated. We are seated. Trump's defense attorney, Susan Nicholas, back up questioning Madeline Westerhout. And as a reminder, this is Madeline Westerhout. This is what she looks like. And she is Trump's former executive assistant. She used to work directly outside the Oval Office. Basically, her and Hope Hicks were out there. And she was the liaison to the president. If you wanted to get a hold of the president, you went through her. She also is somebody who was let go under unfortunate circumstances. The idea being it was just a mistake, right? She didn't really screw anything up, but she was at what she thought was an off-the-record conversation, maybe had a little, cocktail, something, I don't know, and then says something that gets repeated, gets maybe misinterpreted, and she is let go. And so she is now back. Now, she was the government witness, so we're back with cross-examination. Defense attorney is now up, Susan Nicholas. Good morning, Madeline. Good morning. I want to start with this. You said that you were someone who worked at the RNC. Is that true? She says, yeah. Now, would the RNC create a travel schedule for someone who is a presumptive nominee, like in this case, Trump? She says, yeah. Okay. And we see this one. It looks like this document right here. It is a spreadsheet looking item, and you'll notice a bunch of names on here that look like they're familiar. In fact, it is a spreadsheet, 3 columns, and there's a bunch of names on this list, big names on this list. Kind of a nice little list to have there. So this is what they are showing you. This is the Trump contact list. Inner City Press Reporting. They show that document to Miss Westerhout, Trump's executive assistant, on the stand. They say, now you sent out this photo of the first time the president boarded Air Force One, right? So you're familiar with this list. Okay. Don't know where the list conversation goes, but they move on. Now you sent out this photo of the first time President Trump boarded Air Force One. He was proud, right? Yes, he was proud. First time he got on Air Force One. Trump was proud to board Air Force One. Took a photo. Hey, yes, it's a pretty big accomplishment, pretty big day. Was he proud of that? Yeah. Now he often sent newspaper clippings to people. Is that right? He did. And you've seen him do that, right? He'll cut a clip, sign it, says, hey, thanks, Matt Gaetz, send him a note. But he only did this once, one of these newspaper clippings. He only did that one time for Alvin Weisselberg. Is that right? Defense says. Well, she says it could have been, maybe. And would you agree, Madeline, that he barely spoke to Alvin Weisselberg during that first year when he was at the White House? Right, yeah. Now, I want to show you, objection. Can we approach? Prosecutor objects. They go up, long sidebar in front of the judge. And we're back. Defense attorney Susan Nicholas says to Madeline, Madeline, do you recognize this travel schedule here? She says, yeah, I saw them when I was at the RNC. A pretty common thing. He traveled a lot, so we had, travel schedule. Now, these were created and they were kept in the ordinary course of the RNC's business, weren't they? You did this regularly. She says, yeah, they were. The government says, Your Honor, may I void dear her? Okay, I don't think she knows anything about how this is kept. I don't think she knows anything about the ordinary course of the RNC's business. And so they don't want, you can see what this original objection was about. They do not want this travel schedule coming in for whatever reason. Objection from the government again. We object to the admission of the RNC travel schedule into evidence. They go back up to the judge. The motion to introduce this into evidence is denied. Again, judge does not allow the evidence in. Why not? Madeline was saying it was in the ordinary course of business, right? To get it in. It's just a business record. Get it in. And they say, well, she didn't create these records. Did she create it? No, someone else created it. So what does she know about the create? So judge says, oh yeah, that's a good point, prosecutor. You're right. More evidence that's helpful for the defense. Gone. Thanks, judge. He says the motion to introduce this into evidence is denied. Susan Nicholas, defense says, thanks, judge. All right, Ms. Westerhout, you were asked about how checks were sent. Remember that from the prosecutors? She says, yeah. And there were checks. Remember, they got into FedEx envelopes. They would put another return envelope in there. They'd send them to the White House. Trump would sign like 10 checks. They'd send them them back. She says, yeah. Now, at some point, you were told that there was a post office box set up for the president and his wife to receive personal items. Is that right? She says, yeah, that's true. But it was slow. And isn't it true that things got lost in that process? She says, yeah. And President Trump was upset because he thought it was disrespectful if he didn't respond promptly. Is that right? She says, yeah, definitely. He was upset about it. And so things would be sent to Keith Schiller, wouldn't they? So that it would just go directly to him because the P.O. box was a big problem. They're probably security, all this crap. You know, it's like takes a long time. Trump says, just give me the thing and respond to them, right? I don't want to get back to them 6 months later. It's disrespectful. He says, so things would be sent to Keith Schiller, the bodyguard, right? Yeah, right. And is it your understanding that this workaround happened in previous administrations? Like other presidents did that too. They just send stuff to that dude, send stuff to that dude. Like if it blows up on that dude, it's probably, you know, now we know. She says, yeah, I can't imagine it would have been any different. Now, you didn't give any packages to Ivanka Trump, did you, Madeline? No, I didn't. Now, Trump signed a lot of things. Wouldn't you agree? She says, yeah, he's the president, signed a lot of stuff. And he felt if people were getting his signature, they should get his real signature, right? Objection, sustained, strike that. Madeline, you've seen him sign checks, right? Yeah. You've seen him sign checks doing other things. Yeah. Have you seen him sign checks while he's on the phone? Yes. So he was somebody who you would say multitask. Is that right? Oh, definitely. Yeah. Your Honor, I have People's 75 government. It's an email of Ronna Graff, who was Trump's other executive assistant at the Trump org, not at the White House, asking about buying a photo frame at Tiffany's. Remember, she said, this is for Trump's mother, and they were going to get her a $650 Tiffany's frame because we love our mamas here, okay? And you said you made the executive decision to spend the money because he was busy, right? You did that. Yes, I did. Good call, Madeline. Now, you work in the White House, and you were working there when the Stormy Daniels story came out, right? She says, yeah. And you saw when Donald Trump learned about the story? Yes, I did. And would you agree that he was upset about it? Yes. He was very concerned that his family would see it. Judge says, objection, sustained. The answer is stricken, right? He was concerned his family would see it. Objection, that's speculation. She doesn't know what's going on in his mind, Your Honor. She can't make that conclusion. He says, yeah, you're right. The jurors heard that, right? They heard her say he was concerned his family would see it. Not about winning an election, not about running into the White House, stealing an election. It was about Melania. It was about his kids. It was about his reputation and undermining his honor and integrity, which any man can relate to. But they don't want that in. They don't want the jury to hear that. Sustained. That answer is stricken. She said nothing further. Any redirect? Government's back up. Madeline, Miss Westerhout, now you did not meet Mr. Trump personally until after the election. Is that right? She says, yeah, I met him November 2016. And at Trump Tower, this is the government, did you sit on a different floor than President Trump at the tower? Yes. Now, Miss Nicholas didn't ask if you'd spoken before. Have you? She says once. When? This week. Did you work at American Political Strategies for Robert O'Brien, who worked in the Trump administration? She says, yeah. No further questions. Okay. Defense attorney's back up, says, hello again, Madeline. Again, you testified that President Trump was very close with his family and sustained, stricken, objection. You're done. Don't tell us about how he loves his family. I don't want to hear about it. Sustained, stricken, next witness. The government prosecutor losers called Daniel Dixon. Daniel comes in. Promise tell the truth, God? Yes, I do. Daniel, where do you work? He says AT&T. What do you do there? I respond to legal demands. I help law enforcement interpretate. Oh man, that's a great word. I love that. Says, did you review this thumb drive, Mr. Dixon? He says, yeah, there are 6 AT&T numbers and 11 others on here. Okay, they say People's Exhibit here, subject to a sealing order, Your Honor. They put some stuff on the screen. It's a Michael Cohen account report. There's a .donaldtrump.com email address. And for what it's worth, this witness Dixon is wearing a hat, says Intercity Press Matthew Russell Lee reporting. They say, Mr. Dixon, what is a mobility report? He says it's a report about how many cell phones go to how many other cell phones. And this is how we can tell how the records work. Is that right? This is how can tell how the records work? He says, yeah. Okay, no further questions. Trump's lawyer, Beauvais, Emil, is up. He says, Mr. Dixon, a cross-market move is a change in the AT&T's accounting. Is that right? He says, yes. So this Michael Cohen move, it begins in January 2017. Is that right? He says, I don't know. Zoom out for me. Cross-market move is a change in AT&T's accounting. Zoom out. And Mr. Dixon, you're aware of something called pocket dialing, aren't you? He says, yes. Nothing further. Okay. Next witness, says the judge. Government says, the people called Jenny Tomlin of Verizon. She comes in. Tell God? I do. Miss Jenny, does Verizon keep call records? She says, yeah. Now on the screen, there's this document. It says details for Alan Weisselberg. It says, Miss Jenny, does min mean minutes on here? She says, yeah. And does Verizon round those minutes up? Yes, they do. No further questions. Cross, Emil Beauvais back up for the defense. Jenny, the subscriber records on the screen are not redacted. Is Keith Davidson linked to this number? She says, yeah. No further questions. Judge says, okay, we'll break here. Jurors, enjoy enjoy. Be back here in 15 minutes. Don't speak. Talk about the case. See you soon. They leave. Emile Beauvais says, Your Honor, we object to these 1999 statements. This is ridiculous. And the government says, what? First of all, in the 1999 video that's not even in evidence yet, Mr. Trump speaks of campaign finance laws going back to 1907. And so it's relevant. So Trump knows all about campaign finance laws because there's a video from 1999 where he's talking about it. So we should get that in. Judge says, all right, relax. I'll rule after the break. So he's probably going to let it in. We'll see. They're back. Justice Merchan, he says, oh, he's going to keep it out. No, 1999, it's too attenuated. It's too far. So now you say you only have 2 more witnesses today. So how much longer are we going to go here, government? He said a bit over an hour or so. Shall we work to 1 p.m. or a bit past, he says, and not come back in the afternoon? Should we just skip lunch? Should we go to lunch and then come back? Or should we just skip lunch and just work? They go, let's just work through it. They all agree. We'll be done at 1. They say the government prosecutors recall Miss Longstreet. Miss Longstreet is a DA paralegal, and she was the person who was clipping all of the truths and Twitter accounts, posts, and all the stuff. Government says, hello again, Longstreet. Do you work with other paralegals on the Trump case? She says, yeah. Trump at the defense table is working on a piece of paper with a pen. Government says, did you find and save public court filings that might be relevant to this prosecution? She says, yeah. And how many relevant cases have you reviewed? She says 75. And is this a Twitter thread by real Donald Trump? She says, yeah. Now, the thread asserts pressure, they say, on Cohen to flip, then praises him. Says something, if anyone's looking for a good lawyer, I would strongly suggest that you do not retain Michael Cohen. He's stupid. Is there an exclamation point at the end? Says the prosecutor. She says, yes! Exclamation point. And there are a bunch of Trump tweets, slamming Cohen, so they're just talking through all those. They show another tweet. Here, Trump is praising Paul Manafort, right? Paul Manafort didn't flip, they say. Is this a tweet thread? When did you clip this, Longstreet? She says, yeah, May 3rd, 2018. There's another thread about the NDA. Trump said the campaign contributions played no part in this transaction at all. So all of his tweets are coming in again. Says, Miss Longstreet, some of these messages are redacted. Who redacted these? She says, I did. Can you please read this? She says, sure. Yeah, this is from Gina Rodriguez to Dylan Howard. Gina Rodriguez was a talent agent, and Dylan Howard, I believe, was another content manager. Says Stormy Daniels was his mistress. This is from Gina Rodriguez to Dylan Howard. Says Stormy Daniels was his mistress. She will talk under 2 conditions. I says, okay, thanks. Read these now. These are from July 31st to 2016. It's a message again. Looks like another text message or an email. Text message. Says from Gina to Dylan, whatever happened with the Stormy Daniels interview? Then on August 8th, 2016, call me. And how about these messages? This is from Dylan back to Gina. So Gina's sending to Dylan. Dylan responds. He likely will pay. How much? Gina says $250K. And how about this one? This is one, it says 120,000 sold. Then Dylan sends to Gina, I'm at dinner, but I will forward the contract. Gina to Dylan says, I haven't told them anything except what I said yesterday. And Miss Longstreet, what's this? That's from Gina to Dylan. She says she's doing a press conference this morning and she hired another lawyer. No further questions. Defense questions? Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, stands up, says, you better believe it, Judge. Hello again, Miss Longstreet. Says, I'm not going to re-ask you my questions from late Friday, but is it fair to say that you reviewed thousands of tweets? She says, yeah. Now, you have not reviewed Michael Cohen's TikToks, for example, that he released on Wednesday night. No, I have not. And these texts you read, you have no personal knowledge if they are true or what they mean, do you? You have any idea what they mean? No, I do not. No further questions. Next witness, says the judge. Government calls another paralegal. A paralegal comes in, promise to tell the truth, all you know God had to do. Tell me what you do here for our government, right? Government is interviewing their own government people, like how this is. Says, well, I reviewed call logs and I related records. I looked at things like subscriber information in our exhibits, and we have a software that works with the data that AT&T gives us. And Verizon records were a PDF, and so they were a little bit trickier to analyze. Government says, is People's 340, are these calls between Michael Cohen and David Pecker? Big list of calls. Michael Cohen and David Pecker. Says yes. Yeah, that's that. And how about this? 349. Are those calls between Trump and Michael Cohen? Yes. Move to admit. No objection. Those are admitted. Now, Ms. Paralegal, what are People's 1 through 34? What are these? All these documents? She says, well, these are checks and invoices. Now, I move to admit the summary chart, and those are probably all the charges. There are 34 different felony charges, so checks, invoices, and ledger entries. So I move to admit the summary chart. That summarizes it all, right? Checks, invoices, ledger entries, crimes. So, objection, Your Honor. Can we have a sidebar, please? They walk up to the bench, talk to the judge. Donald Trump sitting at the defense table. He's flipping through, writing up papers during the sidebar, just marking up probably a stack of documents saying what a rigged, disgusting case this is. Says, okay, we'll resolve your objection as discussed at the bench. So please proceed. Prosecutor says, when we are ready to display the summary chart, we're ready now. And they say, okay, if you modify that, then we have no objection to that. So up on the screen, there we go. Yep, 11 invoices, 12 vouchers, and 11 checks. Says, now each one of those lines up to a count on the indictment, doesn't it? And says, yeah, they do. Paralegal says, yeah, I have nothing further. Government is done. Defense attorney Emile Beauvais back up, so she's counting the invoices. Says, was this tedious work to the paralegal? She says, well, actually, I kind of enjoyed it. I like spreadsheets. Some people do. From 2018, Ms. Paralegal, there are about a page and a half of calls. It looks like we're going through your records here. It looks like there are a page and a half of phone calls that are cut. You see that? She's got, I don't know. Emile Beauvais says, well, let's take a look at the government exhibit here. There's a list that came out April 16th, 2024, and I want you to look at 336 and 337. Look between those. Some of those pages were deleted. You see that? Some of those were deleted. Was this after our cross of Davidson, of Keith Davidson? Did you delete those after we talked to him? She goes, what? Deleting? What are you talking about? And here, Miss Paralegal, on 344, it looks like you deleted several pages here too. You deleted these, didn't you? She says, yes, I did. Yes, I deleted them. Okay, thanks. Now with Michael Cohen, remember CP1 and CP2 and Government Exhibit 247, that recording file off the physical device was CP1 from September 6. And I'm gonna go to Bates 2726. And so this seems like it's not matching up. Says, can I explain? Says, well, just answer my questions. Says, these are the IMEIs. These are the identifiers for the cell phones, aren't they? She says, I think you're blowing up the wrong column. Says, well, now CP1, as you can see right here, is using another IMEI. Do you remember what Mr. Dixon said? She says, I don't want to contradict him. Nothing further. So something went wrong over there. Now, Greg Price also reported on this side of what happened here. He says, one of Alvin Bragg's paralegals admitted on the stand today that the office deleted 3 pages worth of phone calls between Stormy's lawyer, Keith, and Michael Cohen. Not only that, but they submitted the call records into evidence, but didn't mention to Trump's team that some of the files were deleted. He took this screenshot, so here's another angle, another report. Defense attorney Emile Beauvais is challenging the evidence that prosecutors are putting forward, asking the paralegal, her name is Jaden Jarmel Schneider, about the deletion of some of the toll records between Keith Davidson and Michael Cohen after the defense submitted recordings between the two from 2018. She admitted that they've deleted some call records from the files. Wow. Beauvais also has Jamal Schneider confirm that some calls were removed from an exhibit of calls between Gina Rodriguez and Dylan Howard. Beauvais said it was actually worth 3 pages worth of records deleted. Jarmel says he took issue. He says it's not significant, but he did acknowledge some of the records were removed. Said, at this trial, you're sort of the guardian of the toll records, aren't you? So I don't know if I'd say that, but if you say so, Jarmel responds. So more deleted evidence, not a surprise. And they end it there. Nothing further. Perfect. Government comes out, prosecutor on redirect trying to rehab this situation, says, why did we shorten the charts to delete those things? He says, well, to include only what came up at trial. You know, we're pretty well down the road, so cuts them off. Okay, thanks. Earlier, you wanted to explain, and what did you want to say before he cut you off? Well, Mr. Beauvais, or sorry, it was AT&T, says, do sometimes people get a new phone, but they keep the same phone number? Says, I do. Nothing further. So the phone numbers are changing from the cell phones, rotating. Beauvais back up. Mr. Paralegal, now you're just speculating, aren't you? He says, well, the importance of the call is in the timestamp. Beauvais says, well, isn't it true the recording cuts off? He says, yeah. And they must be talking about, remember the Michael Cohen recording of Donald Trump? And they're talking about some bunch of different things. And they said that that means something because they were talking about David. And then the call comes in. The importance of the call is the timestamp. Yeah, but the recording cuts off, doesn't it? He says, yeah. Okay, nothing further. And that's it for the day on testimony. Judge says, okay, nothing further. Jurors, you may leave. They all stand up. They do. Jurors are gone. Mr. Blanche, any objection to getting Government Exhibit 350 to help me prepare the jury charge? No, we're fine with that, Your Honor. We do intend to submit some proposed changes on the jury instructions. Now, we intend to call, the government says, all right, Your Honor, we intend to call 2 witnesses, and it's entirely possible we will rest by the end of the week. They are floundering big time. Remember, they had to stop Karen McDougal from coming in and testifying. She was next on their list after Stormy came out and really dumped all over their case. Then they recognized they couldn't do the same thing with McDougal, so they threw her out the airplane, and they're going to try to land this thing without her. So they're accelerating this. We'll have Michael Cohen. There was supposed to be like 6 weeks, I thought. 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks of their testimony, but they're accelerating it pretty quickly. Trump's lawyer, Bove, says, Your Honor, there's a separation agreement between the Trump org and Allen Weisselberg, and so it's unduly prejudicial and it's not relevant, okay? He's in prison right now. And they say, yeah, exactly. We want to explain why he's not here. We want to explain that Weisselberg's in prison because they put him in prison. There are 3 payments due to Mr. Weisselberg this year, $250,000 each. Now, he promised not to denigrate the company, and so he's getting paid for that. And the Trump defense says, Your Honor, that's not why Mr. Weisselberg is not here. Okay, Mr. McConney has one too. The reason Mr. Weisselberg is not here is that the DA decided to bring a perjury prosecution to him. And of course, they made that up as well because they knew that Michael Cohen was going to get hit with a perjury accusation because he has a conviction for that. And they needed the other side to have a perjurer too. So they just hit Allen Weisselberg with that. Now, we'd stipulate that he's in prison for perjury. And they say, okay, that could resolve it, the judge says. And Bove says, no, it wouldn't. We don't want them to hear that. It would be helpful to me, the judge says, to see some sort of effort to compel him to be here. I'd like him to be here. It's a factor for me, he says. Like, I want you to make some effort to get him here before we just tell the jury something about him. Well, the government says, okay, well, we could subpoena him and just put him up there cold and just see what we do. He said, we could also do it outside the presence of the jury, says the judge. Bove, for the defense, is, outraged. Your Honor, Mr. Weisselberg has never been on the government's witness list, ever. And we know this because our dockmaster, Elliot, had confirmed that for us. He went and dug that up, right? Has never been on the witness list. We were asking ourselves, how are they going to connect the case without McDougal, essentially trusting Cohen and the comptroller? And remember, it was the bookkeeper and the comptroller said that neither Trump nor Weisselberg ordered him to classify the records any which way. He just did it on his own. So we were thinking, okay, maybe Weisselberg, they'll have to come in and Weisselberg will connect the 2 dots, but they never even had him on the witness list. So he says, we were barred today from introducing an exhibit when we didn't disclose our exhibit. And so they shouldn't be allowed to suddenly introduce a witness when they didn't disclose a witness. It's only fair, Your Honor. The judge says, nuh-uh, it's different. You didn't think it was possible that they would call Mr. Weisselberg? He says, not from this list. This is their list. I don't care if they want to or not. They got to put it on the list, just like you said. Well, think about it. And Your Honor, before we wrap, I got to tell you, Your Honor, Todd Blanche says, Mr. Cohen continues to go on TikTok. Now, he's in a t-shirt that has President Trump on it in jail. And we ask you to order the people to order the witness to not talk about Trump until the case is over. Prosecutor says, Your Honor, you can tell us, but we don't control what he does. He says, okay, I know you don't, but I would direct the people to tell Mr. Cohen that the judge is saying not make any more public statements until the trial is over. Adjourned. So Cohen gets no gag. Cohen can do his little TikTok dances all night long because he can't sleep. He's so stressed out, living multiple lives simultaneously. It's a terrible way to live. So he gets to continue to do this. It's a little bit of a warning. It's a little bit of a direction. It's not a gag. Trump is, meanwhile, absolutely gagged. And so that was day 14 of the trial. Trump came out very unhappy with some of what we heard today, and in particular, what the judge has done with Michael Cohen. We'll listen to a bit of this and see what the president has to say.
There is no gag order to Michael Cohen. What the judge did was amazing, actually. It was amazing. Everybody can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, but I'm not allowed to say anything about anybody. It's a disgrace, and you see it. The media sees it, and it's really very sad. If you look at the legal experts and the legal scholars, every one of them say this trial is a scam. It's something that should have never happened. By the way, it could have happened 7 years ago. They bring it right during the election. Nobody sees that. Nobody talks about it. This should have been 7 years ago. It shouldn't have been brought, but if it was going to be brought, it should have been brought 7 years ago. And, we're talking about 2016. We're talking about something that goes back a charge of 2006. Think of it. We're talking about 2016. We're talking about a charge that's 18 or 19 years old. It's all fake. The whole case is fake. The judge is corrupt. And the only thing he gives us is to make him look a little bit good. He gives us nothing. And what he just did now is joke. It's a disgrace.
All right, so the president calling it exactly right. The judge is keeping evidence out. Trump's team has tried to get multiple bits of material in, including his travel schedule at the RNC and other things. Judge says no, not allowed to talk about it. Continuing to rig the election. And the government, as we can see here, is floundering. They are trying to close this thing up, put a bow on it, and see if they can hand it off to the jury for a victory. But we're going to be here continuing to cover this trial, my friends, and the rest of the Trump litigation. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for liking our video. Thanks for inviting someone you know or love to come over here. Check out our channel so that they can join us as we dive into these cases and more. We'll look forward to seeing you right back here on the next one.